Greetings, fans, and welcome again to the massive hit cricket show. Today, we're going to start a. It's going to be a little bit of a different format. It's going to be a series that we're going to call Fear or Foul. In this series, we look at different circumstances, different events, different sort of decisions that have been made by West Indies cricket, and we're going to evaluate whether or not these are fair or foul. uh, get in the comment section. Feel free to just really sort of get in there and let us know. Look at all the scenarios that we're looking at, and also let us know what you think, if it's fair or foul. Now, today, we're going to look at a few players that were dropped from the West Indies team for the Test series coming up against Australia, and also players that were not selected. Samir's here with me today, and we're gonna go for this. Samir, how you doing?
Good man. It's all fair. Let's go.
It's all fair. All right. So the Western Test Squad was released recently, and there were some notable omissions. Now we're gonna go through them, and the first one that we're gonna discuss today is Kemar Roach. Was it fair or was it foul? In my opinion, now it depends on what angle you're looking at this from. But Kemar Roach, and let's just bring up Kemar Roach's uh, stats over the last 2 years. Taking a look at Kemar Roach's stats since 2023, he's played 11 matches, 20 bowled in 20 innings, taken 31 wickets at an average of 27, just about his career average. His economy is 3.46, and he's gotten one 5 wicket haul. What this tells me is there hasn't been too much of a fall off with Kemar Roach in terms of his production for the West Indies team. Kemar Roach really, a legend of West Indies cricket. I would say the since currently Ambrose and Courtney Walsh retired in the early 2000s, Kemar Roach is obviously our greatest next performer as a fast bowler. There's really no other great fast bowlers in West Indies cricket. So Kemar, he's really done a lot for West Indies cricket. And here's how I'm looking at this. When you have a legend of this magnitude, you have sort of, the kids growing up, you have the young players. This is someone that they look up to. Kemar Roach is someone who I believe that we would want to give a good farewell. You'd want to see Kemar Roach, perhaps treated the way Alistair Cook was treated when there was a guard of honor, or treated the way any of those sort of really great athletes were treated, because you want these kids to say, hey, when I retire or somewhere in my career, this is what I want it to look like. So the West Indies team, a team that is void of great sort of standard bearers, should really look to honor a legend like Kemar Roach. If I was a selector, I would have selected Kemar Roach for this home series, because I don't necessarily believe it will hurt the team. Having said that, if you have watched Kemar Roach bowled over the last year or two, yes, he's still been skillful. Yes, he's been hitting the edges. A lot of times they haven't been carrying. So, I can understand Darren Sammy going into this next World Test Championship cycle, wanting to move on, wanting to do something a little bit different, wanting to bring the younger players in. Having said that, I would have selected him on the basis of wanting to give Kemar Roach a good send off, wanting the younger players to see what it is to represent the West Indies team. But from a selection team standpoint, from a standpoint of looking forward, was it fair or was it foul? I'm going to go with fair. Samir.
Roger, I'm going to take the opposite side. Foul. Um, Kemar Roach has done extremely well for West Indies. Even in the last 2 years, as you pointed out, he basically met all averages that he's had in his career, right? So I think he did pretty well. I think it's about time that West Indies needs to realize that players like Kemar Roach don't come every day. He's played 85 tests. Now, I'm not saying, listen, they should have stretched him to 100, but I think they should have definitely given him a well-deserved send-off, right? Remember, he hasn't played any T20 cricket since 2012. He hasn't played any ODIs since 2022, and I think what they should have done is they should have given him an opportunity to walk off on his own terms. So I would say foul.
Yes, I definitely believe a send off would be in order, but as far as leaving him out going forward, I think that's fair. All right, let's go. All right, next player, Kavem Hodge. Now, Kevin Hodge has played 11 test matches for the West Indies, 556 runs, average of 25, one century. He's looked um, a good player at different points of his test career. He made a brilliant 100 in England. Unfortunately, Kevin Hodge has been very, very inconsistent. Played in the last Pakistan tour um, and didn't do well. Came back to the regional first class scene, got only 231 runs at 28. And Samir, he made 100 his first game back, which shows that he really had a poor ending to his first class season in the Caribbean. Unfortunately, Hodge just hasn't done enough to say I am undroppable. Now, having said that, the next person who we're going to discuss, Samir, is Athanaze, and I thought that at least one of these two gentlemen should have been selected. So I would have had one or the other, and in Kavem Hodge's case, I believe it's fair.
I agree, Roger. Fair. Played 11 tests. He got full opportunity. Did have that 100 against England. But yeah, listen, in Test cricket, if you play 11 games and you are averaging 25, something's wrong somewhere, and that's what it is. Um, I didn't even think that he had an impressive first class record even before he got selected. So I was very surprised when he did get selected. I thought he was selected based off maybe some all rounder skills, but that didn't translate into the test era either. So I think it's very fair. He deserved to be dropped.
Yeah, I mean, he bowls a bit of left arm spin, but he was selected primarily as a batsman. Guys, in the comments, do you think the dropping of Kevin Hodge was it fair or foul? All right, so the next person here is Athanaze, a young player, Samir. Brian Lara described Athanaze as the class player in the West Indies lineup when they went to Australia last year. He now finds himself out of the team. Seen as someone with great potential, seen as someone who plays with a certain level of intent, aggression. He was the only player in Pakistan, Samir, who played with, played for sweeps, played for reverse sweeps, looked positive, looked really good. Unfortunately, came back to the Caribbean, Athanaze, 231 runs at an average of 28. Pretty poor, if you ask me, there from Athanaze. He was given opportunities in the A-team games against South Africa, and he failed to make 100. Athanaze has not scored a professional 100 since he has been selected in the West Indies team. So no first class hundreds, no list A hundreds, no hundreds at the professional level. Now, again, whether or not I think the decision was fair or fouled, what would I have done? A player like Athanaze, I would have selected him. I would have selected Athanaze. He would not necessarily have started, but in a 16-man squad, I would have perhaps found a place at the end of the squad somewhere to include someone like Athanaze, as I do believe that he's a player that the West Indies can and should invest in going forward. However, there were concerns about him not valuing his wicket as much as he should, him getting out too easily. And under the circumstances, again, Athanaze really did not do anything to suggest that he cannot be dropped. Again, it's fair.
Hey, Roger, again, I agree with you. Very fair. I'm not only going to just say very fair, I'll say very fair. Uh, Bottom line is this. Hey, listen, he got his opportunities. They gave him a lot of chances. Again, 13 test matches, I think, is a well deserved opportunity. And guess what he did? he couldn't cash in. And bottom line, listen, if you average 25 in 13 test matches, just like with our previous guy, Hodge, I got to say, hey, listen, once again, another player that I don't know why West Indies would select with a first class average of 30. Hey, listen, if you're going to average in first class 30, guess what you're going to do at international level? Something below that.
Mhm.
And that's
Yeah.
exactly what's playing out here. I think West Indies and the reflection of their performances are based off the selection. And I think what Coach Sammy is now doing is putting the pressure on these guys to start to perform or get dropped. So completely fair.
By the way, Hodge actually, I made an error when I said how many runs he scored when he came back in the first class championship. He scored 314 runs at 31. That's what he
Still
did.
not good
Not
enough.
not a lot more, but that's what he did. I just wanted to make sure that the correct facts
Yep.
are
Still
out
not
there.
good enough.
Now, Samir, we're gonna take a look at a couple of guys, and these gentlemen here. Let me just pull up this graphic right here because pretty interesting stuff here, Samir. Let's just take a quick look. All right, let's see. All right, so this graphic was posted yesterday by one Jason Mohammed on his Instagram page. And this is the West Indies first class championship top five run scorers, Samir. Jason Mohammed was apparently very upset, complained about scoring over 5,000 runs in first class cricket. I think around 1500s is what he said, and never getting a chance to perform in Test cricket. Now, Jason Mohammed, leading run scorer this year at 679 runs. Joshua Dasilva, 583 runs, second leading run scorer. We're first gonna take a look, Samir, at Joshua De Silva. Joshua De Silva, former vice captain of the West Indies team, was dropped in Pakistan. Came back to the regional first class championships, scored a lot of runs, and he was not selected. Was it fair or was it foul? Here's what I think about Joshua De Silva and whether or not this was fair or foul. Now let's take a look at Joshua's record over the last 2 years. 23 innings, 438 runs, a batting average of 22, high score of 82 versus England, two fifties, no hundreds. And that is in 23 innings. A lot of people were calling for Da Silva to be dropped, and rightly so. His performances over the last couple of years have been woeful. Tevin Imlach was given an opportunity in Pakistan, and you would think, Samir, for all intents and purposes, you would want to continue to give the new wicketkeeper an opportunity to see if he's good enough, or if you're going to replace him with someone else, potentially Shai Hope. Now, what has changed since Joshua Da Silva came back from Pakistan to suggest that he should now be selected in the West Indies team? I believe that Joshua De Silva always batted out of position for the West Indies team. He scores too slowly. He doesn't take control of partnerships to bat with the tail. I think someone like Da Silva, if he's going to be in the West Indies team, has to bat a little bit higher, has to bat around number five. And therefore, perhaps he could have challenged for a position as a batsman only. Now, his returns as a batsman has not been great in the last 2 years, as we can see, an average of 22. But what did Joshua De Silva do? He came back to the Caribbean, scored over 500 runs, as the graphic just suggested, averaged in the 60s. Now, you would have thought that, okay, perhaps he's not going to make it back into a West Indies team. However, in an extended squad of 16 players, he might make it at the end of the squad. Maybe. But still, there's no way De Silva can say, I am supposed to be here. Based on what he's done for the last 3 or 4 years in his test career, based on what he's done for the last 2 years, he's really done nothing to say, don't drop me. Now, here's where I have an issue. Dasilva was named as one of the 6 players being interviewed for a captaincy. I think that was foul. I don't believe that Joshua Dasilva should have been interviewed for the captaincy because he was obviously on his way out of the team. No, based on the runs that he scored in the regional first class championships, Joshua De Silva, I believe, should have been included in those 8 teams, the 50 over team and the 48 teams that played against South Africa. He was not included in any of those teams. I believe, Samir, especially after interviewing this man for captaincy, that was foul. But his non selection for the test team, fair.
Roger, completely fair. Once again, hey, listen, not only has this guy not performed in the last 2 years, as you put up the stats, he hasn't performed in the last 4 years, man. The guy averages 24, okay, in Test cricket, has 1 century again in 33 games in his career. Completely fair. Move forward.
All right. So that is Joshua De Silva. Now, let's move on to our good friend here, Mr. Jason Mohammed. Jason Mohammed, Samir, has played international cricket before. He played 1 day cricket. Let me just bring up his international statistics here.
Roger,
So,
not only did he play, he captained
the captain.
his
So, first,
side going to Pakistan in 2018.
he did.
And
So,
that was the
first,
last time he played.
36 games, average of 21. So, 38 years old. Here's a question that I'm going to ask. Now, if I was to define the role of a selector, Samir, for me, it's the players that you're going to select. Do you believe that they have the requisite transferable skills to move to the next level, in this case, test cricket, and perform? It's not so much what you did yesterday or what you did at the lower level, but do you have the requisite skills? Do you have the mental aptitude to perform? When I look at Jason Mohammed and I see he's played almost 40 games for the West Indies, averaging 21, the question I'm going to ask myself is Jason Mohammed now at 38 a different player than he was a few years ago? Has his technique changed? Is his mental approach to the game different? What is different that is now going to make Jason Mohammed successful at 38 years old? If there's something significant, if there's a significant change in technique, a significant change in his mental approach, or something that tells me that this guy now can be successful and he can dominate the Australians, then I would select him. When I've looked at Jason Mohammed, I'm not seeing it, Samir. I'm not seeing this huge change. Sure, Jason Mohammed could make runs in first class cricket. He always could. His list A record is very good. However, his first class record isn't. Jason Mohammed in first class cricket averages, I think, 32, Samir. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I believe he
Absolutely right,
averages,
Roger.
yes, averages 32 in first class cricket. And at 38 years old, I'm not sure there's anything to suggest that he's going to be a different player now than he was 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years ago. I heard an interview also, Samir, with Jason Mohammed during the first class season where he said, I would like to realize my dream of playing test cricket. Now, for me, it's not about your dream. I would like to hear you say, I believe I can help this West Indies team. I believe I can come in, hit the ground running, and score runs for this West Indies team. I didn't hear that. I heard him wanting to realize a personal dream. Here's the last thing about this, Samir. Jason Mohammed retired from international cricket to go play Masters cricket with Brian Lara and these guys in India about 2 years ago. And now he's looking to come back into international cricket. I'm sorry, Jason. This is fair.
Roger, once again, I'm in agreement with you. Completely fair. Hey, listen, he's 38 years old. Me and you have both railed against Johnson Charles, a good friend of yours and a good friend of Sammy, right, the coach. And we said, hey, listen, once again, this consistent selection of Johnson Charles isn't fair to the team. If Jason Mohammed gets selected here, it isn't fair to the team. That's the bottom line. Jason Mohammed is a very talented cricketer. There's no question about it. List A cricket, he's played over 100 games, averages 39.5. First class cricket, he's played 107 games, averages 32.86. Once again, better than the last previous three batsmen that we talked about, right, in their first class. But to be
Mhm.
honest, I don't believe that he should be selected going forward. There's no reason to select him. I think there's an opportunity here for West Indies now to select the young guys and give them the opportunity. Jason had his opportunity. He even captained West Indies, right? I think captained West Indies in 2018 when he went to Pakistan.
He did.
Obviously, a lot of players decided not to go on that tour, so they decided to go with a senior guy, which was the right decision. But even there, he didn't outshine, he didn't outclass, and that's the bottom line. His career shows that he played 36 ODI games, 21 average. T20s obviously averages don't matter, but he didn't have a great strike rate there either. So completely fair, Roger.
Players like this, Samir, very important to the first class system, to the first class setup. And I think Jason should continue playing first class cricket as long as he can. I've heard a lot of people say that he's taking the place of a young player. He shouldn't be playing first class cricket. I don't believe that's true. I think in first class cricket, you want your first class cricket to be strong. You want your strong batsmen to challenge those bowlers. You want your good bowlers. Kemar Roach should continue playing first class cricket. So Jason continue to play first class cricket, but as far as West Indies goes and going forward, I agree with Darren Sammy here.
I agree too, Roger.
All right, guys, have your say in the comments section. Let us know fair or foul. Let's see.
Completely fair, Roger. And we got Teddy right here. Teddy's like, I'm going to be in this one too. This is an
That's it.
opening segment.
And you know what, Samir? That's fair.
Completely.